How's it going, everybody? Welcome to another review here at Big Gold Belt Media. You got me, Damian G. You got Cam up in the corner. You got Terrell up in the other corner. Got done watching the last half of season 4 of Doom Patrol. And I got to admit, for those who hate in the comments about how I don't know source material, I jumped in late to another one. I'm sorry. Okay. I went in blind. That is why I like the way to do it like that, because you both can educate me on things I don't know about a program, but at the same token, I can learn like a noob, which is the whole point of bringing in new fans to a IP. So watching the last, how many was it? Like 6 episodes we just ran through?
Yeah.
Dang. And like you said, Terrell, right before we came on, certain characters just ran full circle. So let's start with Jane. Since that seems to be the crazy journalist, since that seems to be the ringleader of everybody. So what are your thoughts on her and how her story tidied up for season 4?
Oh, man. I know you guys wish this was the spoiler review. Unfortunately, it is not.
Unfortunately not.
Man, it was so tied neatly in a bow. Like, after seeing what she's gone through, for 4 seasons, and her character just, I mean, they all been through something, but finally seeing her get to a point that we've all been wanting to see, it just felt so good, man. It felt like, I was feeling it. The writers did a good job of making me feel that, and I think that was my favorite tie off, my favorite send off here.
And before you get in, Cam, I got to pay homage to that. The writing was well done on this show.
Definitely.
Everybody had, and I don't want to just call it a comic book arc. They had a life arc in this season.
Right.
Yeah.
And that takes a team of really diligent writers who just go deeper than just the source material, and the actors themselves portraying these characters, finding those bits and pieces that we as the audience can hold on to as a viewer and be drawn in, like someone like me who went in blind, who was captivated by the pain and anguish of a lot of these characters. Not saying I'm sadomasochistic, but just from a thought perspective,
right.
It makes you think. Cam, what about you?
Yeah. So for the character Jane, this felt like finally the version that we've been waiting for, right? We've just seen this bipolar, I guess, schizophrenic, type girl that has all these different multiple personalities that's just been struggling, through the whole entire season, even to just get used to even the concept of family. So for her to kind of like adapt to everything going on around her and kind of just be okay, that's what I was excited about. I just felt like it's finally her time to shine, what I'm saying, as a send off. So it was exciting. Love the actress, by the way. So yeah,
we know. We know. We were in the chat.
Diana.
I remember her from Orange Is the New Black,
sure.
so I knew she was a legitimate actress. So I was very impressed.
I and it's weird because I know her from Encanto, because my daughters watch it all the time. So
the sister,
Yep.
But everybody had just a very good story to tell with their characters. I know I was, again, coming in late, just thinking, who the fuck are these characters and why do people care so much about them? But our boy Brendan Fraser, to quote Najir, put some respect on BF's name. He really brought me in with the character of Robot Man. I hated him at first because I wrote y'all like, why is he so fucking whiny? But then when you start to understand why he's the way he is, I'm like, I could see why he'd be that whiny. So he stood out to me as a character, not so much just because it's Brendan Fraser, but just the torment of the character.
yeah. Ooh, what was that mean?
Oh, I'm saying like just in terms of just character portrayals, like things that brought you in. Like, what are some other things that brought you into the show?
I mean, especially like you said, talking about Brendan Fraser, Robot Man. That story always hit hard. Just kind of his whole backstory. Everybody in the group has had like tragic loss or something like that, but his life is literally taken away from him, and he's pretty much put in a situation that he didn't want to be in. and then we see him kind of, being the only one that's not. I mean, he's human, but his body's not there anymore, so he can't do a lot of the things they can do. But still find a purpose to live, still find some reason to keep going on. You know what I mean? Like, even though you're a brain in a jar type thing. We've had a couple moments. I think earlier the last season with the brain and the monkey thing. I'm thinking about that cartoon.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about that cartoon.
You're thinking about Superman, aren't you? That cartoon.
Yeah.
It was like Marcia or something. I can't remember that.
No, they actually do show the brain and the gorilla in this show. They have
My Life with Superman or some. I think. Yeah.
But yeah, they make a reference to the brain but just seeing him find a different, like I said, reason to live with his grandson, and yeah, man. I mean, I can't find so many different ways to say like how everybody here just has a great send off. I watched this for 4 seasons. First of all, even getting the 4th season and being able to finish it. And this started off great and ended great. This is definitely something that I'm gonna watch again. But yeah, Robot Man was great. His character's great. Sorry.
Yeah. I mean, I think the one thing that drew me in, or honestly, the only thing that really got me interested in Doom Patrol from the jump is I remember being invested in Titans, right? And I think maybe like the 5th or 6th episode into Titans, Rachel had met Beast Boy, and then it tied into the Doom Patrol, and I was like, oh, I'm hooked. Like, this is it. And then
Which
me and my wife started
by the way. It's a different. Oh yeah.
Yeah, because they like switched it, right? I guess like the timeline changed, and then they're in different multiverse or something. So that confused me. And then like, me and my wife were watching it, and then we noticed that like it's not a normal, Saturday morning show. You know what I'm saying? Like you start watching it, and you're like, yo, there's some crazy raunchy stuff in here. And I think that draws a lot of people into it because prior to all these other shows like The Boys and Gen V, this was like the first version that was really doing stuff that was very kind of not your norm, more like your late night show type thing. And I think a lot of people gravitated to that, me myself included, because it's just so different. But I mean, with the character development that they've shown throughout the past 4 seasons and the way they were able to kind of complete the circle with a lot of these characters, I think it was just really great though, for sure.
And let's go back to that, the whole completing the circle. Without giving away spoilers, what did you think of the actual arc of season 4?
Well, I thought it was really good because it started out kind of confusing usually. I mean, because I didn't see season 3. So season 4, this one was kind of like throwing me off when I saw the first couple episodes. But then we got into the fact that they were both, everyone was kind of conflicted with an issue that was kind of like internal. So it felt like they had to deal with the issue to be able to get to where they want to be towards the end without giving anything away. Which I thought was an amazing story arc. I don't think they could have done it any better, to be honest with you. Especially just to make it make sense at the end of the day.
Yeah, I mean, I have seen season 3. And the last season they used time travel as they see in the thing here throughout the first part of this as well. They use time travel as like is the way to set up the whole story, like you said, sets up the whole story, and we see Rita go back in time and pretty much live her life, and she's happy. They meet DeMille. That's where she comes into play, but as we see for the first part of Rita, she is pretty much like not knowing her purpose, what to do. After the whole thing, they're all just kind of sitting around. Then at that point, in her future, which is actually her past, she goes back and actually lives her life and falls in love and everything, and that gets taken away, of course, in the last season. But we get that medium used again. As they're able to find a really interesting way, as we've seen in the first half of the show, and now in the rest they use it again to really make everything just make so much sense. Like it just makes everything make sense. Like
glad it makes sense to you because it didn't make any sense to me after a while. But.
Yeah, so many setups for past events that we'll get like hints of and surprises. So it was definitely good. Like I really enjoyed it.
Yeah,
I need a Blu-ray box set like today.
yeah. Damien, were you thrown off by the butts?
Okay, I didn't know if that was a spoiler or not. So
No, there's been butts for a while now. So
I mean,
quite a bit.
I've seen some shit in my day, living in New York City. So I've seen some random things. So seeing a butt on television really didn't bother me. What really irked me was what we talked about was when they can get summoned and, butts aplenty. And I'll say it like that. And let's just say if I go to my doctor, I'm not gonna have them do anything back there whatsoever. Just because no, I didn't mind it. I thought it was kind of like obviously a WTF moment for someone like me, but I thought it fit. For whatever reason, we're watching this random ass show for me, and it just fit the motif. It'd be different if we were watching something like Dragon Ball Z and there was like, talking butts that just showed up. Like, that doesn't belong here. But here, I feel their purpose for the story, I thought was cool in the way they were used because of what happens at the end. And then you'll see it and then you'll be like, okay, I like ass, apparently. So yeah, good job, guys.
Yeah.
But aside from, go ahead, Terrell, sorry.
No, I was gonna say, they were used in a couple times.
They were used.
Throughout the show. Yeah,
they were.
But exactly. Being surprised to bring them back, and again, even the butts have a closing moment in the show. Like they do a story arc of how it all happened. So
everybody in this series, from what we just saw, had something tangible to do. There wasn't a lot of filler people involved, even though, again, there was some random moments, but everybody had something on the vine, as it were, because there wasn't a lot of filler. There was one episode where the tone just shifts and we're just like, this is still awesome at the end of it, because we were kind of like watching it and thinking, the fuck? But it fit what we were watching. And anyone who's watching this show is going to think, yep, this goes perfectly with what we're watching, because think of it. Here's how I compared it to. It reminded me of watching parts of Loki season 1. And I'm thinking, or WandaVision. I'm thinking, okay, I can see the connection in a superhero show where we can use this as kind of a jumping off point to something else. Again, it fit. And on the surface, it may not seem like it fits, but it fits. I don't know if it was episode 9 where it flipped, and I'm just like, okay.
Yeah.
National holidays aplenty.
Right. The show is so great, man, that it can be so silly and yet hit so serious of a topic as like rape and traumatic trauma and stuff like that. I mean, which is this, like you said, the entire theme of the show, from the death of Vic's mom, the thing that happens with Kay, Robot Man, Cliff, everybody in the group, man, something traumatic happens to, and not just them, but their family, something involving family as well, which seems to be the theme throughout every character. Vic with his dad, so with his wife and daughter, everybody has something related to family or something happening to him, which I never even thought about until just now. It starts at home. But yeah, man, like I said, it hits some real heavy topics that they can make jokes about and still talk about it respectfully. And I think that's what this show was really, really good at. And I've been saying from day one, the writing was A1. I've always liked this more than Titans, which I thought had an okay ending too. It was okay. And they use like a cheat code time travel thing. And Titans too. But man, this definitely hits the mark, like I said, in terms of like the writing and the storytelling from seasons 1 through 4, and the tie up for 4 seasons so neatly. Man, it's just the chef's kiss.
Okay. Cam, what about you?
Yeah, definitely. I feel the same way. I think this is it's probably the strangest group of misfits that I've ever seen on camera all together, that are completely different from backgrounds, lifestyles, things that have happened in their life, but it all comes full circle at the end, not just with each story, but as a team too, you know?
Yeah.
I just felt like with all their different issues, that is what the show is about. Like Terrell said, is that, you know, even though they're making it funny and goofy, they're still hitting on hard, serious topics as we move through the seasons, which I thought really added depth and character to the whole entire show as well, though.
Oh, for sure. You could tell there's depth from the first 5 minutes of the show until all the way to the end. And to be honest, that's part of the reason I kept wanting to watch it. It wasn't even just for the content we're doing. It's because I wanted to see how this all tied up from where I jumped in. And I am pleasantly surprised because, like y'all was saying, Titans, the way it ended, I'm like, I didn't like Titans at the end. So now I'm like, okay, leaves a better taste in my mouth. But I will say there's one thing I didn't like, and I could be on the limb by myself. That's fine. I hate Cyborg. I hated him in the show.
This Cyborg, yeah.
Like this version,
Cyborg,
right? This version
of
like
Cyborg.
I
The
can
reliance of just tropes of Cyborg that we grew up with as kids. It's now even, and they make a mention of it. You know, it's kind of corny. Like he's effing corny, and I don't know if that was the point, but man, like, stop. He's my least favorite character.
Yeah, he definitely has the lesser of the not that big of a problem. I mean, like, you know, we found out, like you said, his mom died, and
yeah,
we slightly found out he's kind of the reason why that happened. But his journey is like, you know, dealing with kind of not wanting to be a superhero and having himself thrown into the world that he didn't want to be in. He just wanted to live the normal life. You know, they really mend up his relationship with his friends and making the attempt, you know, in the first half of the show to get back to his friends. I mean, you see him in the first half, you know, pretty much get prosthetics and get rid of all of his tech and stuff like that, because he's constantly, you know, trying to avoid that part of his life. He wants to try to resume what he thought was a normal life, what he wanted, and it turns out that's not the case. I definitely get what you're saying. I mean, yeah, he's definitely the one, Mr. The Boy Scout. You know, he's the robot Boy Scout that, you know, always trying to do the right thing. He's Mr. Speech. He was definitely annoying at times. His relationship with his father throughout the seasons, I'm like, okay, can we just fight and get it over?
Right? Yeah, I know. I was like that too, for sure.
You know, everybody's got that. You know, my dad never hugged me, my dad never loved me. But once, even like I said, even that just gets tied up so well. But I love that they brought the his father, who I cannot think of the guy who played his father. He's been like,
Immortus.
I feel like he's been like a Star Labs guy in like every DC game.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Or something
Silas
like
everywhere. Silas Stone forever. Like,
but yeah, they definitely kill it, man. Like I said, I know I hear what you're saying about Cyborg, but I definitely think as annoying as he was, they definitely were able to tidy him up really well. Because I was not going to be happy if it didn't end the way it ended for him. Like, I was going to be really upset. So I'm very happy we got what we got.
Yeah, same. I think there was a time within like the first 2 seasons that I was annoyed with Cyborg when he was trying to be like super Boy Scout, and he had that girlfriend, and he was like, "Well, she's stealing." Yeah. Oh, you remember that? And I was like, "Come on, bro! Like no, come on! Like, what's going on?" So for me, I was like, "Come on! Like, just do what you got to do."
You think
turn another cheek?
Superheroes look the other way if they getting some? Is that what you said?
That's what it sounded like to me. I mean, robot girls are gonna find out here. Let's be honest. Let's. So, and for him to kind of go back to the prosthetics and want to kind of be like a mentor, I thought it was a cool thing for himself, you know. But I the one person that I think had the best redemption story for me, I think was Larry, bro. So for him, I mean, Larry's been through so much, right? And honestly, I didn't really like his superpower at first. I mean, I can't do nothing about it to change it. It is what it is. I didn't write the story.
I still don't like it.
I don't understand really what
out of everybody
does. What does he do? Right?
He feels the most useless. Like,
it jumps out. He's like, and I'm like, so he's just walking around.
That's what I thought too. I was like, what is he doing
Pokemon?
Yeah, he just letting his Pokemon go out, do the work, come back, and he back. And I'm like, okay, Larry. what's going on here? But I feel like Larry's been through so many different things, and growing up in an era where a lot of things that are accepted today weren't accepted, back then. I feel like that's a struggle for a lot of people that they can relate to as well with this story. So just to see his arc as well, and him being able to get the send off that I guess we wanted to see, but it was kind of like still kind of confusing, towards what happened. But
I think the whole point is just the man was finally found some type of happiness.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like,
exactly.
After all, we see the whole thing with his son. They still didn't want him around.
My gosh, that was,
which how can you let go of that type of hate for somebody after they pretty much abandoned you, or they left, or whatever the case may be, or if they found out the truth of what was going on with they basically cheated on his mom with the dude at his job. Which, like, cool, the guy could fall in love, but you still was doing your wife dirty, bro. Like, you gotta
pick a lane. I don't know.
Pick a lane, bro. Yeah.
But I think I said a lot of the show, man, is forgiveness, and learning to let certain stuff go so you can move on. How to, like I said, deal with that. You didn't lived as long as they have, which has been like for a while. And I think a lot of the show too is what will you do with the time you have left? Like, what will you do with you live forever, but what can you do within like this limited time, which we start to see over the last season or so, especially with the death of Niles Calder and stuff like that, and dealing with his daughter. What is her? I was about to say Darlene, Dorothy. That the whole point, the whole purpose of the point of all of them in the first place was so that he could stay, longer with, as long as he could, with his daughter, because of she was going to age slower, XYZ. And again, seeing what you would do with that time, and just kind of never works out for you. but yeah, Larry's amazing.
I didn't understand Larry's power. When I looked it up, I'm thinking, okay, but what does that really do? Aside from just I gotta protect people from me.
Yeah.
And then his whole angle is I got to keep pushing people away because I'm toxic or whatever, like literally toxic.
Yeah, you're radioactive. Oh.
Yep.
I mean, it was good for Daredevil. What little bit of radioactivity was good for the Ninja Turtles. So it's fine. Man. It's fine. It didn't bother nobody. But no, like we're talking about it, and I'm thinking, okay, the thing I got most from this show, to quote Dominic Toretto, family, grief, loss, and overcoming all of those things for some sort of catharsis. And Cam's probably tired of me talking from a psychological perspective by now, but that's the stuff I pick out of this stuff. And it's like, that's the message. That's the thing you can pull from this and make it more humanistic to the viewer at home, because a big complaint we have about superhero shows is that there's no human element to connect to, aside from, let's say, Peter Parker, because he's chronically tormented, but a lot of the shows we watch, it's like, yay, they're heroes, they save the day, but what else? Like the first 5 minutes, I'm hearing people curse, people calling each other fuckers, and I'm thinking, yeah, this would be real life superheroes. They all don't get along, they all can't stand each other, it's just a team, and all for one, everybody for themselves. And as the rest of the season went on, I like the really, and I'm not going to spoil, I'll just say I like the arc that Madame Rouge went through, because someone who knew her from Justice League and didn't know much else about her, seeing her character in this season go from where it started to having actual feelings. And I know that sounds really basic to say, but when you're a villain and you are hardened and you finally actually give a shit about people, it's like that's a 180 in and of itself. But even her ending with the literal cliche that I said in the chat, it was just seeing her care in general was great, because she just wasn't a cold villain, even though she still had the air of, I'm still a bitch, I'm still gonna look out for me, so I don't really give a shit. I enjoyed that part of watching her journey.
Yeah, I mean, that's literally a scene where she asked, "Can somebody be good and bad?" You know what I mean? Like the anti-hero basically, right?
Right.
Like I said, we definitely as she comes in, I want to say it was into season 2, into season 3.
Yeah, yeah.
She comes in and we get the whole her whole story after Miles literally dies, and she comes in, and we thinking she's going to be the big villain that we all see, but then again, this is where her story really starts to take place, is where she meets the Doom Patrol and finds the family and realize she don't got to be a piece of shit. She could be better. She could be a better person. And for me personally, like I usually hate villains don't always gotta have a redemption
arc.
I hate it. Like sometimes I just want to see villains be villains.
Yeah.
I don't need it. My wife, whatever, so I have to become a villain. I don't need all that all the time. Just but no,
taking a shot at Mr. Freeze there, brother.
Yeah. But yeah, she had a really good, like you said, arc, and I never hated her. I always thought her character was really, really, really interesting. I never had an issue like with her. She never felt like a villain to me though. But that could just be the way that it's shown through the show, like the way, because when we meet her, she has amnesia and she's all with the team, so we don't really get to see this villain perspective that everybody else was getting, I guess. So I never felt that way to me. But I definitely like the character. But yeah.
Yeah, same. I mean, I really like the character as well. Like you said, when we saw her at the end of season 2, beginning of season 3, I didn't know anything about her, right? So I was like looking her up, and I was like, oh, she's the newest bad female character, villainess that's gonna be in here. Oh my gosh, she's gonna go crazy. And then I'm like, so she's like on the team, or like what's going on right now? Like I was confused. But I understood that like she had a purpose, but then she started, flipping scripts and starting to realize that she doesn't have to choose this path that was already in somewhat way paved for her because of what the knowledge we knew about her from the past. So I feel like even with her, just like all the other characters, full circle, man. Just the way she went from, where she was to where she is now, which we can't say. I thought it was a great ending, honestly.
Mm-hmm. Is there anything you didn't like at all at this season?
Yeah. I wish Dorothy was handled better. I feel like she got the short end of the stick in this. I really wish that was just a little neater. But other than that, not much. Yeah, not much. I'm like, man, I really hated that. I wish we had more time. I don't want the show to end. But if this felt like this ending was always planned. If I had to say it, yeah. I mean, it felt like this was so perfect. Like I said, so well written. This felt like this was the journey from the beginning. Like everything. Like, oh man, the time machine. Like this is what's
right. Yeah.
But no, like I said, other than the whole thing with Dorothy, I really didn't have any issues. Yeah, I mean, the team got what they needed.
So do you think even if it didn't get canceled by Max, this still would have been the ending we would have gotten?
I think so. I don't think those shows were ever going to be beyond 4 or 5 seasons. Okay. It never felt like it needed to be. Every show. I'm trying to think how every one of the seasons ended. Did they end where? I feel like they ended every time where they almost knew like that was going to be the end.
Right.
I feel like I had to go back and watch it, but I don't remember like anything like really outside of Doom Patrol. Obviously, like it ended like a cliffhanger.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I said, the ending felt like it was always supposed to be the ending.
Okay.
Like it was supposed to be the exact length. I mean, if it could have, then how much longer could we just really deal with everybody kind of being assholes to each other, the trauma every week? How much more of that can we get to before we got sick of it? And it was like, okay, they need to get to this point of what do you call it in the psych term when somebody recovers or gets over the situation?
Well, typically they just have a breakthrough or something of that ilk. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So it almost feels like, now that you say that, I feel like the seasons are kind of the methods you guys use, like what like the beginning, the whatever, like, and then the breakthrough. I felt like this entire season was like the breakthrough arc of obviously of everything. It's like we, the audience, and the characters themselves,
we're being walked through the journey just like the characters are.
Yeah, I mean that does make sense now that I look back at it, because like each season seemed like a process of healing for the characters,
right.
but it was slow, very very fucking slow. So I mean, and that's usually how it is, you know. It's you take baby steps when you're healing. Usually people just don't go leaps and bounds, and you're good, you know. So like Terrell said, I think the part that really, well, I like the whole entire season. I think the only part that disappointed me is that it's over as well, because when we got to the end, I kept looking for like little tidbits or like little nods, like, oh, you know, wink, we'll be back, you know. I'm like, oh yeah, but none of that. So that's it. But the way they sent it off, I feel like I don't think this could have been, you know, sustained much longer as far as a whole season of just trauma. But it does give a sense of relief, I think, to the audience, because you do see healing, you know, like you don't see just straight grief for another season. You're like, okay, there is a happy place at the end of the road, you know.
And they got there slowly, like you said, Cam, but they did get there.
There was a super serious moment at the end that they just had to throw a joke in there, and I just was dying. Like literally the whole thing with Rita.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I was like,
we didn't talk about her either. Yeah, that was that was interesting the way they did that. I like the actress April Bowlby. I remember her from 2.5 Men as a bit character, and to see her basically become the leader of this team, like in the show, I didn't think she had in her, to be quite honest. I didn't know that actress had that much range. So
I've met her a few times, and I'm not surprised. I'm not. She's very very nice. But she I definitely, like I said, like she was on 2.5 Men. I looked into her background, and this is some deep work like that you would not expect from that character she played on that little, you know, I guess the bimbo of the week for Charlie.
Yes.
You know what I mean? You would not expect this level of range from April on this type of show, because she was definitely, she was playing an actress on the show, but she was definitely acting her ass off, you know, like in real life. Like this was really really good.
Yeah. I will gladly say that the writing, like we said, was great. But before I go, I just want to say the acting. My God, man, like everybody acted their ass off. And I don't say that in hyperbole. I say that, and this was damn impressive. This is some thespianic work that we watched that isn't just paper cut and dry for superhero stuff. You saw the emotions in their face. You saw the frustrations. You saw the grief. You saw the need to be there for one another. The panic, the worry. Oh shit, is this the end? In literally 6 episodes, we saw all this. And I got to admit, I don't know if they pull this off with a different cast. I think these people were perfectly cast for the roles that they were in, and it carried the show along with the writing. So I'm giving this a A- from what I saw. And y'all know I'm a bit of a hard grader, but I give it an A- because, man, from start to finish, it kept me engrossed. And I love that. I love when I don't have to walk away like, I'm done with this. No, I wanted to get to the end of the damn journey like the rest of us did. Writing, acting, family dynamic, and the overall message of just overcoming trauma. That's a big thumbs up for me. So what do y'all think?
Yeah, I mean, the show definitely brought it. I mean, the season alone definitely brought it. And the surprises that we get throughout it, sprinkled, you know, through the last couple of this season, definitely made it a lot better for me. Like I said, making everything make sense. The show, I mean, legit had me crying like the last couple episodes. Not just from laughing, but like just seeing the characters and stuff alone. If fiction can do that to me, then I know I've really enjoyed the show. That's really really good writing. me to actually care about the characters, seeing where they go with their journeys in. I gotta watch it again, but I'm definitely gonna miss it. I'm scared because I don't think DC's ever gonna take that swing again with something like this. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And we're getting into this new era of rebooted superhero films. Are we gonna see this depth of how what the characters are, and not just like the superhero personas? Are we, like you said, are we gonna get that behind the mask? Are we gonna get them dealing with this stuff, or is it just gonna be a happy good time in every movie? And I'm not saying we got to get that, but at least another show that's similar to this, like superheroes are real people, basically. Right. This is what they deal. These are the heroes that don't get all the spotlight and everything, and this is what they're dealing with when you got to clean up everything. Everybody doesn't get to go home in Lois Lane, or get the stuff like that. Which I do like that this exists in a world where those other superheroes do exist. Because I've seen shows that be like, oh, that they may be there, they're not there. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's kind of like playing a Spider-Man game, but it's like, okay, where are the other existing Marvel?
I'm just swinging characters all over the place. Where's Daredevil at?
Just open worlding it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Right. There's Doctor Strange's house, but where's Doctor Strange? All this is going on. But yeah, I love this show, man. It's definitely a complete box set buy for me. I want to watch it again. It's A+, perfect for me. I thought it went out with exactly the way it was supposed to.
Yeah, I'm gonna give it the rating just straight out from the beginning. I'm gonna give it an A because, and only an A and not an A+ because it's over. There's no more.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And that's the only reason. My only fault to it. And just to go back on the actors, right?
Yeah.
2 of the actors, we never see their face, to think about that. 2 of them are basically voice acting, you know what I'm saying, with each other, corresponding this whole entire time. And you still are getting that same type of emotional delivery. I mean, of course, Brendan Fraser, world-renowned actor, amazing. We knew we were going to get a great performance from him. Glad to see him, on top in Hollywood again. And I can't remember the actor that plays Larry. What is his name?
Matt Bomer.
Also with Matt Boomer. He killed it as well. And honestly, I just think there's only one other opportunity I can think of that DC is going to take to possibly do a show like this. And I was thinking maybe the Monster Squad, I think it is, that they're doing.
Okay.
Possibly, misfit type thing, different character relationships, backgrounds and stuff. That would be cool to see with this actually leaving. And I'm just hoping it could be half a replacement that this actually was, because this thing was awesome.
I like my heroes flawed, and this show definitely hit that on all levels, all accounts. But everybody, let us know in the comments what you think here at Big Gold Belt Media. Are we right with our A grades pretty much across the board? Did you like Doom Patrol? I know some people in the comments are going to think it was corny, but even me, hard grader, I think it was worthy of the A- score I gave it. But aside from that, let us know, like, subscribe, all that good stuff over at biggoldbelt.com. Terrell, where can people find you?
I am at ATG Podcast, Around the Geek. Yeah, I'm on all those. Check me out.
Cam?
You can find me at Cam's Collection on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube.
And you can find me at Damien G Show across the board on all your social media platforms as I host the Retro Cartoon Rewatch. Behind me, where I take cartoons from the 70s to the 2000s, I watch them back in real time, and I let you know whether or not they suck. And most do. Let me just say that. But thank y'all so much for joining us here at Big Gold Belt Media. And the episodes start October 12th, I believe. Yeah, October 12th on Max. Let us know what you think when you finally watch it. Did it end the way you wanted it to? Are we right? Are we wrong? Comment. Let us know.